The water shortage in Hama is typical of the whole region. The Middle East is one of the driest places in the world. Most of the land is desert and water is scarce and precious. People here have less than 100 litres of water each at their daily disposal, less than half of the amount Europeans have. In the Middle East, people are thirsty for water and for peace. And peace will not be accomplished until the water problem is solved. The fight for water among Middle Eastern neighbours makes the region one of the most explosive in the world.
From its source in the mountains outside Athens, the Kifissos springs crystal clear. But as it wends its way the short distance to the sea, the river degenerates into a condition that has become a national scandal. The Kifissos River was first mentioned by ancient Greek writers about 2,000 years ago. Then it was a source of life. But if you were to try to drink the water today, you do yourself considerable damage. The Kifissos is treated like a sewer. Tons of toxic waste are illegally dumped into the water by heavy industry that lines its banks.
Also making news today, antibiotics, mood stabilizers, sex hormones, painkillers. No, we're not talking about your drugstore. We're talking about your tap water. A 5-month Associated Press investigation finds trace amounts of drugs in the tap water of 41 million Americans in 24 major metropolitan areas. Now, we emphasize the word trace, but just how serious is this problem in the long term? Let's bring in our medical correspondent, Elizabeth.
And coming up, the unmasking of bottled waters. Consumers react to word that many of their pricey favorites come straight from the tap. US have access to some of the cleanest tap water in the world. Nevertheless, many people have come to depend on bottled water, so much so it's become a multi-billion-dollar industry. Sure, it's convenient, but many also believe they're paying for water from naturally pure sources. As Rob Marciano reports, that's often not the case.
Don't let that scenic logo fool you. This water is not bottled from a mountain stream. Now PepsiCo plans to spell it out for consumers, adding the words public water source to the label of its Aquafina brand. And in case you didn't know, Aquafina is actually just purified tap water.
That would make me never want to buy Aquafina again, knowing that it was bottled public water.
Yeah,
like
no,
just
that's
tap water
just
in a
not
bottle.
cool.
That's what am I paying for?
All right. There is very unsettling evidence of something terribly wrong.
In Colorado's rivers and streams, a waist-deep ritual of the season.
He was down on the bottom.
Using electric currents to stun native fish to the surface where they're measured and checked. That's what they discovered in the white suckerfish that's got even veteran scientists concerned.
I've done a lot of studies throughout my career, which extended back to 1973. This is the very first time that what I found scared me.
This fish has characteristics of both males and females.
And scientists have found lots of them in 3 Colorado rivers, all of them downstream from sewage treatment plants. In the Boulder Creek, female white suckers outnumbered males 5 to 1. And 50% of the males also had female sex tissue.
The cause? Researchers say there's too much estrogen in the water, the natural female hormone that is found in every sewer system. But in addition, certain chemical compounds in detergents and soaps can mimic estrogen.
We're talking about my...
New worries tonight about the safety of America's water supply. In the first nationwide investigation of its kind, the Associated Press found that at least 41 million of us are drinking water that contains traces of prescription drugs. And now many are wondering, is our water safe? Here's Nancy Cordes.
The Associated Press investigation reveals that nearly every drinking water supply in the country that's been tested for pharmaceuticals tested positive. 24 major metropolitan areas from coast to coast. What turned up? Trace amounts of everything from sex hormones to drugs for livestock, anti-seizure medications, prescription painkillers, even the antidepressant ingredient in Prozac.
How many water suppliers that you spoke to actually filter out pharmaceuticals?
Virtually no water supplier we talk to will claim or can claim to entirely filter out pharmaceuticals because the treatment systems aren't designed to filter out pharmaceuticals.
In Philadelphia, for example, scientists detected 63 different pharmaceuticals in the untreated watershed and 56 in the drinking water. Just
Well, do you know what's in your drinking water? A shocking Associated Press investigation found various pharmaceuticals in the drinking supplies of at least 41 million Americans. Tainted water was found from New Jersey to California. NBC's Tom Costello is following the story from Washington. Tom, I've been dying to ask somebody some questions about this story. First of all, what kinds of drugs are we talking about, and how dangerous is this?
Pretty wide range. Here's the drinking water in Washington, D.C. They found 6 pharmaceuticals in our drinking water here. They include ibuprofen, caffeine, monocin, and about 3 or 4 others. In Philadelphia, they had 56 pharmaceuticals or byproducts. They range everything from epilepsy medication to mental health medicines to pharmaceuticals that really run the gamut. Here's the bottom line from the Associated Press on the study they did. It was, as you mentioned, a 5-month investigation involving the AP investigative team. 50 major cities in 50 states were looked at, and drugs were found in the water of 24 major cities. We're talking 41 million Americans here who drink that water. So what's in the water? Everything from acetaminophen and ibuprofen to mood stabilizers, antibiotics, angina, heart, as well as cholesterol drugs, and even sex hormones. The trouble here, Meek, is that the federal government does not test specifically for pharmaceuticals in the water. And in fact, there is no way to scrub water that is in a treatment plant for pharmaceuticals. And so now we have a situation where states and cities across the country are just starting to realize
Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no secret is revealed. That is why the Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people, confident that with your help, man will be what he was born to be, free and independent.
However, to say that these people who come to the rally, that's foremost on their mind. Stephen, let's begin with the fact that many of these people are birthers. The birthers are absolutely nuts.
One day God's going to stand before you, and he's going to judge you and the rest of your damn cronies up on the hill. And then you will get your just desserts. I'm leaving.
Okay. We've just had a demonstration of democracy. Okay.
The vast majority of Americans who are still good, honest, decent people who believe in American democracy, who believe in real discourse, to step up and say no to these crazies. They've got to make it clear that we, the American majority, don't want any part of people who are destructive and want to destroy this country for their own reasons. I think if the majority speaks up loud and clear, and I think they are beginning to, they're getting fed up with this. You saw